Welcome to the channel. My name is Jodie Knight. You can find my live portfolio over on eToro. The link is in the description below for that. But in this video here, we're going to talk about PayPal's price action. We're going to look at the daily chart, the weekly chart. We're also going to take a look at the open options interest. As well as that, we'll talk about my price targets, where I'm going to add, where I'm going to trim, all that good stuff, fair value and all that. On top of that, though, we're going to have a quick look at the general market, what's happening. We're going to look at the economic data from yesterday and what's coming today. And then also we'll take a look at some PayPal news if I can find any. If not, we'll find something else interesting to talk about briefly. Okay, jumping straight in, just want to mention that my weighting now for PayPal is 10.83% of my portfolio. I'm happy with my weighting. It's come down a little bit from where it was, mainly because the rest of my portfolio is pumping at the minute, especially my largest positions, Tesla and CleanSpot. That's something to be aware of. My valuation on this one's still $124 kind of dollars. I didn't really change it too much after earnings because they were a little bit. They were fine. There were nothing exciting. They explained why. I'll touch on that a little bit in the news section. But that price target is 51% higher than where price is currently now. Looking at actual price action though, we're a bit indecisive, even though a lot of fintechs were really pumping yesterday. We've got this little gap down here. Would love if that filled. I would super love it if this orange gap down here at 74 filled. I would love to buy more down there. The bull market band is coming up, so that would be an excellent place to meet that and build up a good base. That said, we are kind of building a good base up here between these two red lines. So I can't hate that, but I don't want to buy in that range because that's just not how I like to do it. There's not really good risk reward at that point. We do have the bearish divergence that's kind of faded out. So if it wanted to chop around here, that'd be fine. The MACD Plus looks good as well. And kind of flow is neutral. So if we decided to move up, we could. If we decided to pull down, we could. But looking up here, next targets to the upside is going to be kind of $89, $90. Then we're approaching quite a tough psychological level at $100, and there's Fibonacci and historical resistance there as well, but it is a little bit below a measured move. I would expect us to bounce quite severely back off that. So potentially there might be somewhere I could find some kind of swing trading opportunity as well. I don't really plan on trimming until we kind of get to that $100 area. I think because the rest of my portfolio is performing so well, I'm not going to be at risk of being too overweight on that one, as $100 isn't too far away from current price. About 25%, so it hardly seems really worth it. I did want to talk about how long I plan on staying in PayPal. Now, in the earnings call, they talked a little bit about not earning so much right now, but moving that further down the line into 2025. I think that's great, but my initial investment in PayPal was for it was just way below its fair value, and I'm still kind of on that track, although we do have a little bit of an options play potential on this one with the ads business. So currently, as it is, I'm probably going to scale out significantly when we get to my fair value at 124, maybe just holding a 5% weighting. That said, that could change. If PayPal delivers something amazing with the ads business, it could be more of a return to growth. So I'll have to weigh up the pros and cons of that when it comes to it. But for right now, just a value play. I'm strangely out of breath today. I don't know why. Let's look at the weekly. Weekly looks super good. Now, this looks like it would be an excellent setup for a cup and handle, which kind of aligns with what we said when we looked at the daily chart. We could pull back down here onto the yellow or that orange line there and form the handle and then have a nice measured move on that one, but I'm not betting on that. It looks like that's what's setting up, given that the RSI is a little bit warm, and we did have overbought on the MACD Plus, but it hasn't fully formed yet. We'd need more of a pull down on that one. We can't just have a handle in 2 bars. That's crazy. Looking at the open options interest for PayPal here, the expected move's quite small, kind of just topping out at the local high here, and then kind of not much to the downside. I guess the market's moving more in a fintech bullish way. We'll talk about that in the news section as well. But I mean, there's only 2 days left on this, so let's push it out to next week. More interest to the downside. I'd be shocked to see PayPal down at 57 again, but I mean, I would be buying that dip, so can't hate it. I guess the logic here is we're going to go back to the double bottom, but don't see it happening. Quite a few people in the money already on this one. The 85 resistance, yeah, I can see why that's being picked out. But I mean, this $70, this would be what I would imagine to kind of be the low, the possible low if we did pull back. And it doesn't make sense from a fundamental perspective for it to get back down to 57. That's crazy. But let's go out to January 2025 like normal. Really not much negative sentiment on it into year end, is there? Expected moves quite large. A lot of people picking out $100. We talked about that earlier. That's a very strong psychological level for it to break, and there's a lot of resistance confluence in that area as well. So I expect that one to be a tough level to breach. Let's pull this up even more, see if there's any higher strikes. I mean, I don't think we'll be getting over 100 within a few months, but you know, the Trump melt up could be happening. 145. That's quite a considerable jump. I don't think that's going to happen. Let's put it out to 2026 anyway to have a quick check what's going on there. $95. Okay, so yeah, the main sticking point is going to be that $9,500 area. Really, not much bearish outlook for them in the long term, so that kind of reinforces our value play plan for the next year on that one. Potentially more. I think a lot of people are probably starting to price in their ads business, but given that there's not much data to plug into the models, I don't really want to give a value to account for that. I don't like to project super far forward for that. I just like to add it when it comes out as a bit of an options play there. Okay, so there's not mountains of PayPal news to go through there. We do need to talk quickly about the elections, Trump winning. This is going to be a bit of a boon for fintech, mainly because Trump has hinted strongly that he wants to kind of deregulate a lot of stuff, take off a lot of red tape. That's not inherently good or bad. There's going to be less red tape, faster processes, less bureaucracy. We've seen how that's hampered a lot of industries. So it's going to give the stronger fintechs the opportunity to kind of get first mover access on that, stretch their legs pretty fast. I do want to throw in a word of caution though on this one. It can make a lot of competition flood to the market if it's going to be, especially some people might find it easier to go for a bank charter, so that's going to be a bit of an issue for SoFi. But the big should be able to get big faster than the newer companies can come into the market. But competition does boost supply, which drops value. So that's something to keep a very close eye on. The fintech market's got a lot of saturation already. Maybe that's going to be a good barrier for entry, but we'll see. There's certainly some not so great companies in there. But something else to be aware of, I think this is going to force incumbents to move faster with their tech stacks. So again, SoFi is probably going to do pretty well from this one. Galileo, maybe they get the contract signed faster because the bigger banks need to move a bit faster. The bigger banks won't. They're going to have more people come in for their pie with less regulation. So perhaps speeding up the process with onboarding customers as well for SoFi. Did I mention that? I might have mentioned that. But other than that, PayPal specific news, not really anything exciting to talk about. I just wanted to throw up a quick little thing. Oh, I forgot who that was from. I think it was from Finfluential on X. Just talking about the reasons why they are going price to value, which is it's painful in the shorter term. Well, not necessarily painful. It's just the numbers don't look as great as people thought they were going to be. But for the long term, things should be a lot better. I do recommend listening to the call on that. They do talk about it quite concisely. Worth a look. So moving on to macro data, we can see Wednesdays we had some more mortgage data. Not great, but were we expecting it to be anything better? No. And then also oil data. There wasn't much, but even if there was a lot of new data, I don't think the market would have paid any attention to it. The election overruled everything. But today is also an exciting day. We've got the more jobs data. We know the market does like to react to that. So pre-market looks like there's been a little bit of indecision. We do know we've got the all-important Fed rate decision today. I don't know what's going to happen. I suspect they're just going to go for a small cut again, but maybe they've got some balls. Maybe they do pause. I don't know. They claim politics have no influence on them, so if that's the case, then it probably should be a 25 bips, but we'll see. Other than that, though, not really much. Just the jobs data and that I'd really look at. The Fed's balance sheet is going to be good to look at to see if they're running it off. Let me just have a quick check at that one out of curiosity. I can't remember. We're still running it off, so I don't think that's going to change. Worth a check, though. That's a wrap. If you enjoyed this content, give it a like. I'm going to go brace myself for the Fed rate decision today. Share this with your mum, your nan, your dad, your dog, and I will see you Monday for CleanSpark and Bitcoin updates.